Hi guys, hope you're well. So let's speak Hindi today. So Hindi is one of the most well-known languages for one of the biggest populations in the entire world. Hindi is spoken by roughly 1.3 billion people, and that is just in India, but a huge diaspora of people of over 32 million people in 132 countries who all speak Hindi. So why is it that so many people don't actually want to run to learn Hindi, although it's one of the most widely spoken languages in the world, essentially? I think people run towards Chinese, people run towards Spanish, and so many other different kind of languages, but why not Hindi? Because obviously it must be like a great tool, especially if you're going around the world, if you're a traveller. It's amazing because you're always bound to find someone who speaks the language or is Indian themselves. So one thing I've always gone back to and kind of thought about is the popularity or like the perception of Indians anyway, in general. I think if you go back to it and think like the many positions that Indians are in, you often see is that they're like lower class, or often seen whether it's like in Qatar, or whether it's in the UAE or Saudi Arabia or so many different countries. They're often seen as like a lower class citizen, and it's often seen as a language which is just for those kind of people who are from a poorer background, or because obviously in India there is quite a lot of poverty, but it's often seen as that kind of negative stereotype, although within India and across the world, there are so many Indians who are doing extremely big things, and there's so much wealth within the Indian community. It's unbelievable. So for people to have that perception that Indians are just quite lower class and they don't have enough money and they're quite poor, it's such a wrong perception. I think that sometimes feeds that narrative of not going ahead and kind of learning the language and becoming more fluent and native in it. Another stereotype that we come across, which stops many people from learning Hindi, is like it's not seen as a cool language. So it's not seen as a language like Chinese, like, oh my god, you know how to speak Chinese. Oh, that's so amazing. Whereas Hindi, people like, okay, don't like so many other people know it anyway. It's not like that cool. It's not like that unusual. It may feel sometimes inaccessible to other people. Like, for example, if you are Finnish or Japanese or something, it might feel like, oh no, I don't really connect with that language. It's not really something, it's part of culture, etc. And I'm not part of that culture, so I don't think I'm going to learn it. And I think that is another negative stereotype, because Hindi is just a language. The same way that Japanese is the language, same way that English is the language, same way that Chinese is the language, any language it is in the world is just a language. And I think it should be taken as that. I think what we also think about is how people perceive languages, cultures, etc. So sometimes I think people just think, yeah, that's just not really going to help me at all in life, or it's not really like going to be a language which will enable me or open up doors for me at all. When really, with the largest diaspora in the entire world, there's no other culture or community that has spread out as much as Indians. So if you learn Hindi, you're literally opening up the doors to over 132 countries. It's a really good tool to take you around the world.